This is the Specht Sohne 222. As the name suggests, it's an homage to the original stainless steel Vacheron Constantin 222. The model I have here is the second version from Specht Sohne, featuring a wavy patterned dial and a few refinements over the first version. With the recent release of the steel blue Vacheron Constantin 222, I think now is the perfect time to take a look at this affordable homage. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name is George and I review watches. In this video, we are taking a look at this budget-friendly homage to the Vacheron Constantin 222. By now, I think most of us are familiar with Specht Sohne. They've been around for a while and have dominated the budget segment of Chinese watches on AliExpress. Most of their releases are well made and offer great specs for the money, but occasionally, some models don't receive the same level of enthusiasm. For example, the very first version of the Golden PVD 222 was poorly executed and had to be scrapped. But now, with a newer version, they've clearly stepped up their game. Overall, I'd say Specht Sohne is a great brand, especially if you're just starting out or have no experience with Chinese watches on AliExpress. It's a solid entry point if you want to test the waters and get a feel for what these brands offer. They have a wide range of options, typically priced between $50 and $150, with most of their designs being homages to iconic watches. That said, they do have a few original designs if you're after something truly unique. The watch comes in the usual cardboard Specht Sohne box. Inside, you're greeted by the watch wrapped around a pillow. Also included in the box are a branded microfiber cleaning cloth, a guarantee card and a price tag. It's pretty basic, but that's all you really need. The packaging is compact and practical, and for a budget watch, this is more than enough. Once you take the watch out of the box and hold it in hand for the first time, the first thing that stands out is how thin, compact and refined it feels. The dial is also striking. I have the red version here and it immediately grabs your attention. Of course, the most distinctive feature of this watch, or rather of the Vacheron Constantin 222, is the integrated bracelet. And I have to say, Specht Sohne did a fantastic job here. The watch looks and feels far more expensive than the price tag would suggest. Currently, the watch retails for around $78 or £66, excluding import duties, taxes and shipping. You can probably find it for a bit less if you have any coupons lying around, but at this price I think it's hard to go wrong. This is a great value for the money. The watch is available in several versions. The first release, much like the original Vacheron Constantin 222, was an all-gold PVD plated model with a flat dial design. That was later followed by a stainless steel version available in black, silver, gold, brown, grey, blue and green dials. After the success of that release, Specht Sohne introduced an updated version featuring the wavy dial pattern you see here, which resembles sand dunes. Now they offer the all-gold PVD version with a wavy patterned dial as well. The red version I have here is, in my opinion, the most interesting of them all, alongside the green one. I've always wanted a red dial watch, so this felt like the perfect opportunity to pick one up. Let's start with the dimensions. As I measured the watch with my calipers, it is 37mm in diameter and a super slim 8.3mm thick, including the flat crystal. The lug-to-lug measurement is a bit tricky. Without including the end link curvature, the lug-to-lug is 39.7mm. However, if you add the bracelet links at the point where they curve down, that number goes up to 53.6mm. But thanks to the curvature and the way the bracelet drapes down, it doesn't wear like a 53mm lug-to-lug watch. Instead, it hugs the wrist really nicely and comfortably, making it suitable even for smaller wrists, as we'll see later. Moving on to the dial end design, which I think is the showstopper here, alongside the bracelet of course. As mentioned, I have the red version and I'd describe the red as deep and bold. The dial features a wavy textured pattern resembling sand dunes in the desert. Thanks to the multifaceted profile of the dial, the watch plays beautifully with the light, revealing new details and reflections as you move it around and view it from different angles. The hour markers are simple baton-style applied indices filled with superluminova. Their highly polished sides match the hour and minute hands, which are also polished and feature a slim superluminova strip for visibility in low-light environments. There is no second hand. At 3 o'clock, we find the date window framed with a highly polished metal border. At 12 o'clock, the brand name Specht Sohne is printed on the dial, and other than that, the dial is pretty minimalistic. There are no extra logos, texts or markings, which I really like. It keeps the design clean and allows the textured dial pattern to take center stage. There is also a minute track on the outer edge of the dial, which is especially useful since there is no second hand. Overall, I think Specht Sohne did an exceptional job with both the dial design and the color choices. As I've mentioned, I've always wanted a red dial watch, which is why I went for this one. But all the other versions look great, especially the blue and green dials. They aren't too flashy, instead they are more muted and darker, which suits the overall design and aesthetic really well. That said, I wouldn't be surprised if Specht Sohne releases this watch in the future with more dial variations, whether that's a new texture, a fresh design or additional color options. Maybe even more vibrant dials like what Tissot has done with the PRX. The case and bracelet are made from 316L stainless steel. The case and bezel feature a combination of finishes. The top, bottom and sides of the case are brassed, while the chamfers on the top and bottom are polished to add another dimension and depth to the design. The bezel is 16-sided, just like the Vacheron Constantin 222, with brassed sides and a polished top. The crystal is sapphire glass, sitting flush on top of the bezel. It's great to see a sapphire crystal at this price point, especially for under $100. The crown is unsigned, but it is a screw-down crown, and the time setting function is smooth and works really well. And remember, this is a quartz movement. On the bottom right side of the case, near the right lug, you'll find a small Specht Sohne logo, a flying bird. This follows the design of the Vacheron Constantin 222, which was the only Vacheron model to feature a logo in that spot on the case. Another great feature I wanted to highlight is the drilled lugs. If Specht Sohne decides to release alternative straps, maybe a rubber option, swapping out the integrated stainless steel bracelet should be a breeze, which is great to see. The watch is powered by a quartz movement made by Hattori, specifically the VX3K Super Slim model. I know for some of you a quartz movement might be a deal breaker, but for this type of watch I think it's a great choice. It allows a watch to be super thin, coming in at just 8.3mm, and combined with the 37mm diameter, it results in a sleek and compact sports watch that can also double as a dress watch, easily sliding under the cuff. You also get around 2 years of battery life before needing to replace it. However, if you're absolutely set on having an automatic movement, you'll be happy to know that Specht Sohne offers this watch with the NH35 Seiko movement as well. That version is a bit more expensive, features a second hand, but it's also larger and bulkier. I'll link to both versions in the description so you can pick whichever one you prefer. Other than the movement, dimensions and the presence of a second hand, there aren't many differences between the two models. Now, moving on to the bracelet, which is the other star of the show and essentially one of the main selling points of this watch, and of course the Vacheron Constantin 222. For the money, I think they did a great job. The links are well executed and the bracelet is very comfortable. It drapes and hugs the wrist really well. I have a small wrist at 6.75 inches or 17 centimeters, and I had no issues sizing it down by removing a few links to get a perfect fit. The bracelet features a single or double link design depending on how you look at it. It has brassed surfaces on the top, sides and bottom with slightly polished chamfers on the edges, adding a touch of luxury and dressiness. Not that it makes much difference, but the lug width at the very top where the end link meets the case is 20mm, tapering down to 12.9mm at the clasp. This tapering gives the watch a sleeker look on the wrist. The clasp is a simple butterfly clasp with no micro adjustment, but it's well executed. It snaps in place securely and the opening and closing action feels crisp and tight. Fortunately, there are different sized links, so despite the lack of a micro adjustment, you should still be able to get a precise fit. That said, I do wish there was a micro adjustment option. The watch wears beautifully. Even though this is an integrated bracelet design, the lugs angle downward sharply, which means the bracelet and links are unlikely to overhang your wrist. Instead, they drape and conform nicely for a comfortable fit. Here are some wrist shots on my 6.75 inch or 17 centimeter wrist, so you can see how it wears. Lume is not the strongest feature of this watch, but it's more than adequate. If we consider this watch to be on the dressier side, then the fact that it even has fully lumed hour markers along with lumed hour and minute hands is already a nice bonus. The Lume glows a cool greenish blue hue, and thanks to the highly polished hour markers and hands contrasting against the darker dial, you'll still have decent visibility in low light environments even after the initial Lume brightness fades. Okay, final thoughts. I know the Vacheron Constantin 222 is a grail watch for many of us, but at the same time it's incredibly expensive and out of reach. That's where Specht Sohne comes in, offering a super budget-friendly, well-made homage to one of the most famous models from a Holy Trinity brand. I was pleasantly surprised by the overall build quality, finishing and dial options on this watch. Personally, I prefer the second version dial with the wavy pattern, but if you want a safer, more muted option, the solid color flat dials are also excellent. You really can't go wrong with any version. I also like that Specht Sohne offers this watch in both quartz and automatic versions, giving you a choice based on your preference. I honestly can't fault this watch. After all, you're getting a sapphire crystal, solid build quality, a beautiful design and a great bracelet for under $90. If I were to nitpick, I'd say the not so strong lume and the absence of micro adjustment are the only drawbacks I can think of. But there are watches 2 or even 3 times the price that don't even offer these features, or a sapphire crystal for that matter, so I really can't complain. If you love the design of the Vacheron Constantin 222 and are looking for a budget-friendly alternative, I think the Specht Sohne 222 is a perfect choice. Thanks for watching my review. If you found it useful, please like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. I'll see you in the next one.